regional diplomacy has been a big focus during this trip. What have we heard from the president about meetings today?
Good to be with you, Kate. And each stop has been filled with opulence and ceremony and a lot of discussion. And some of what has been going on really is focused far outside the countries that have been involved in the president's direct conversations. And by that, I mean Iran. President Trump wants to keep pressure on Iran to negotiate a way to resolve their ambitions to have a nuclear weapon. And Iran today talked about the fact that their own army, their military capability is a deterrent to the United States and is getting the United States to want to cooperate as well. Of course, President Trump got out of what had been an existing agreement about the Iranian nuclear power program and now wants his own. And today he talked about what could happen, and he's got some optimism.
I want them to succeed. I want them to end up being a great country. Frankly, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only thing. There's two steps. There's a very, very nice step, and there's a violent step. The violence like people haven't seen before. And I hope we're not going to have to do this. I don't want to do the second steps.
And with each of the nations on this trip, he has had an important business and defense partnership. And so there's great interest in the fate of Iran and what could happen. The president, of course, has had his teams in Oman in a series of negotiations with Iran. And his comments now seem to indicate he is willing to work with them and he senses some willingness in return. So that is notable. Kate?
And Kelly, we know President Trump has been involved in efforts to end the war in Ukraine. There were supposed to be direct talks between Russia and Ukraine today in Turkey. What's the president saying about that?
Well, he has kept that on the top of his mind as well, Sinclair. He has been talking about the fact that he wants the war in Ukraine to end. He wants the U.S. to have a role in bringing that about. And when President Zelensky went to Turkey to have these direct talks, he was met with a lower level delegation from Russia. And President Trump had said that he thought only if he were going to Turkey would Vladimir Putin go. Of course, Zelensky wants to meet at an equal level to talk directly to Putin. He says Putin is the only one who can make this decision. And so President Trump is saying that when he and Putin meet, there could be an opportunity to move things forward. And until that happens, he doesn't see much taking place on the Ukraine issue. But we don't have any time for that kind of a meeting scheduled. And so some frustration that it didn't go further in Turkey, but the president keeping himself in the conversation, saying several times during this trip that he might take a detour to Turkey. There's still nothing like that planned. And the president is saying at some point he and Putin have to talk and try to resolve this. Of course, what you didn't hear in that is that Zelensky would be directly involved too. So that remains a very big question. Kate Zinkley?
Kelly O'Donnell in Abu Dhabi. Thanks so much.
Cassie Ventura, the singer and former girlfriend of